Hey, hi everybody. Uh, it's great to see you here and welcome back to the channel. Today, the topic of discussion is data storage. Today, in this data driven world, we need to think about data. Alongside, we need to think about data storage because if we are not able to store data in a proper way, then how will we be able to analyze that data? Because analyzing that data is very important to understand the trend of the data, to trend of the business, to understand uh, the how that data is reshaping the business. So it's very important to store that data, to preserve that data in a better way, in a better location. Okay, so the first important question is like data storage. Why we need data storage? So I have answered like data storage becomes important when it comes to analyze that data, when it comes to understand the trend of the data, to understand the business, when it comes to understand the insight of the data, to develop the organizations, to develop the business. So it becomes very important to store that data in this data driven world. So as per the screen presented, we can understand that there are three types of data storage systems. More are there, I mean there are many more, and if this categories are subcategorized, then of course you will come to know about more, but for the time being, it's like basic tutorial. So in basic level, we have database, data warehouse, data lake, wherein we store our data and we analyze the data, have a better insight, create dashboards, and through different kinds of tools. So the one thing that I would like to mention here is the first and foremost importance of storing data is to present the data visually, to have a data visualization, which makes very easy for the businesses to understand their business trend through the data trend. So let's move on to the next slide and proceed with the video. Okay, so data storage. Why do we need data storage? To store data, I have already explained you. So these are the bulleted points which I think is very important in order to understand why data should be stored for any business or for any particular organization, whether it is a school or a particular IT sector, whether it is a manufacturing department or your personal data. Over the years, you need to store that to understand your trend. Like you are in class 7, from class 5 or class 1, you need to understand your trend, that whether you have come first, you have secured second rank, whether you have secured third rank, what was your position in the class, how many medals you have won, how many competitions you have participated in. So if you have that data throughout the years, like over the years, then it becomes very easy for you to understand the trend, that I am moving in a positive way, I am moving in a negative way, and that gives you a sense, like if suppose you are moving in a positive way, that will make you understand and give you a sense like, yes, more work, more effort will pave a way for me to earn more medals, to win more medals, to win, to get more marks. So this is the trend. If you are having a negative slope, then also that will enhance you or escalate you, or what to say, uh, give you that enthusiasm to work more, to put in efforts more. So this is the simple logic, if you understand it in that layman term, that if somebody is suppose not from this industry and he wants to understand that why do we need to store the data, then he can understand from these things. So if I go on through the bulleted point, just reading that, data is stored to derive out a meaningful sense for better business understanding. As I said, to maximize business data potential. Of course, if we are studying that data, we can maximize our business potential. We can understand the need of the hour. We can design our business in that particular sense and order. So that is the thing. Analyzing the past data, this is very important. Analyzing the data and presenting it through dashboards, visualizations are very important. Like for visualizations, we use BI tools, Tableau, and these are the different tools that we use in the industry to present the data in a visual way, because we understand, we get the things more deeper, we get to understand, and those visualizations are retainable for a longer period of time, to have a meaningful insight into the data, to train models, to prepare dashboards, to prepare observable charts, graphs. Yeah, of course I said dashboards, graphs, charts. These are the visualizations which makes the business personals to understand their business trends in a more better, clear and easy way with less time, within less time, to present the data trend over a period of time, to understand the business logic. So these are the things that you need to understand, that why do we need to store data, why are we investing so much of money, why any organization is investing or spending so much of money on storing data, that to historical data, backdated data, past data. Why are we storing that data? These are the very important. If we will see this particular 9 bullets are there, but these are like, if I am going to further categorize this, further disintegrate this, then this will be like very important points for any business organizations to understand why data should be stored. Okay, so let's move on to the next part. Now, data storage we have done. We have already stored data in particular location, suppose database or data warehouse or data lake. We have stored the data. Now we need to interact with the data, so that we can query that data, we can fetch that data, we can structure that data in a more specific way, we can retrieve that data, we can delete a particular data, we can like arrange that data in a particular order, ascending order, descending order. So in that case SQL query is used, and I'll be preparing a video, series I'm trying to which will be there fully dedicated to SQL. From there, from beginner level you can learn SQL. Along with you all, I'll also learn and get in depth of knowledge of that. And if you all have any question, please do comment and ask that question. I'll also try to learn and gain in knowledge. Okay, so this is the SQL. This is a query language. This is used to interact with the structured data in the data storage. It helps to manipulate the data. Manipulate in the sense delete, add, fetch, arrange, order, retrieve, insert. These are the things that is called manipulation. So there are different types of commands. Like if you will study SQL it a bit in depth, then you will go through like DDL commands, DML commands, and different other types of commands. 3 major types of commands are there. So transactional commands are also there. So these are the commands and through which we perform these operations. So these are basically manipulation type of helps in manipulation. So SQL, simple terms we can tell that SQL helps us to interact with the data that is being stored in any of the data storage systems for the business insights. Okay, so let's move on to the next part, database. So the first and simple form of the data storage system is database. Let's know more about that database. It stores the structured data. Now you might there might be a question like what is structured format of data, what is structured data? So basically let me explain you. One video I'll make on a structured, semi-structured and unstructured data also, but for the timing let's have a little idea like what is structured data. Structured data is the data which is having a particular schema, which is having a particular column, which is having many columns, and every column will have a particular type of database, and accordingly the data have been inserted in that table. So there's a particular schema, there's a particular way the tabular format will be there, columnar format will be there, and that becomes very easy to query that data. And for analysis purpose or for machine learning purpose, whatever purpose you are using that data, that becomes very easy if that data is stored in the database. So structured format of the data is that the data is the tabular format having a particular schema, columnar format. So this is the structured format of the data. And the semi-structured format of the data, okay, example, structured format of the either suppose the data is in the Excel sheet, that will be structured data. But suppose you are getting the data from Facebook, that will be an unstructured data. Suppose you are getting the data from the video YouTube. We all are aware of YouTube. So you are getting the data, like, comments, share, this everything is there. So all data are there. You are sharing that. Suppose you are sharing my video, then of course you will get that data is stored somewhere. So that data will be along with the like, how many people have liked my video, how many people have commented on my video, how many people have watched my video, views, how many people have disliked my video. So these things will be there, and this data is collected collectively in a very unorganized and unstructured fashion. So that will be unstructured data. But suppose if there is a phone directory, in that phone number will be there, location will be there, name will be there. So that will be a structured data, and that becomes very easy to fetch in the data, manage the data, retrieve the data, add on the data, insert the data. So database generally contains structured format of the data. This is clear. Particular schema it has. So we even say relational database management system. Relational, so there is a particular relation, columns are there, so every column has a particular relation with the data. Like suppose a particular data is stored in that, so the data type that should match with the data type of that column, so that is the schema. So there is a particular schema, structured data, particular schema is already mentioned, and a tabular format or columnar format, and the types are like SQL Server, PostgreSQL, many other are there, Redis is also there. And as you go on with, like, you will come to understand and know more of the database names. So let's move on to the next part. Data warehouse. Data warehouse is the extended version of database. This is the simplest way we can understand it. So data warehouse consists of multiple database, wherein each database will have a particular schema, a particular table format, a particular columns. So this is like data house. Okay, so but one thing is, like, as we have seen that schema was already there in the database. In the database, the data was transformed data, like some kind of operation has already been performed on the data. In data warehouse also, that could be a scenario that transformed data is there, schema has already been written, or schema will be written at the time of analysis. At times it happens in data warehouse that the data that is contained in the data warehouse that does not have a particular schema, so at the time of analysis that schema will be written for that. It is used mainly by the mid-size organizations, small organizations or mid-size organizations which have very small amount of data, or I mean not that huge amount of data. Okay, stores the data efficiently, that helps to prepare reports, dashboards, and could be used by many analytical tools to extract insights from the data. As we are seeing that this is a structured format of the data, so it becomes very easy to manage that data, to prepare reports from data, to analyze that data, and to have a better insight of the data. So if we go on through, like examples of the data warehouse is Snowflake, Yellowbrick, Teradata. So Snowflake, Yellowbrick, Teradata. So Snowflake I have personally used, and Teradata, Teradata and Yellowbrick I have never used, but I know about them. So Snowflake is basically SQL based. Since the data this is a data warehouse, so data will be arranged in a particular order. So we can use SQL to fetch in the data and manage the data. So Snowflake is a data warehouse. Let's come to have a look of Datalake, the last one. Huge volume of data is stored, but there is a specificity that what kind of data it is going to store. It will be storing raw data. Okay, raw data in the sense it's not transformed data. It can be data which is in the structured format. It can have the data which is in the semi-structured format, or it can have the data which is in the unstructured format. The data is directly coming from the IoT devices, machines, different that social media platforms. So the data is directly coming into the data lake, and the data is fed into the data lake, kept in here. So historical data is kept here. Historical data in the sense past data is kept here. Whenever it's required, it's taken out from data lake and then analyzed, entered into the stored into the database or data warehouse, and then analyzed and all. So it is saying that schema is written only at the time of analysis. Yeah, of course, this is raw data, so there is no schema, there is no structure. It might have, but generally it does not have any structure. It's only a place wherein the data are dumped to keep it for future use. Whenever I'll require, like my company is having huge volume of data, I'll keep it there, I'll store it there, and whenever I'll require it, I'll fetch in the data, I'll take in the data, store it in the data warehouse or database, and then analyze the data and prepare a schema for that, and then do the entire requirements. So schema is written at the time of analysis, schema on read. So when the analysis process will be going on, we will write the schema. Data might be relational, non-relational, the same thing. That is, the data is structured, non-structured, semi-structured. So these are the things. Okay, untransformed data is stored. Yeah, of course, the database, data warehouse, you should understand that some kind of transformation, some kind of cleansing, some kind of work has already been performed on the data. But in case of data lake, that has not been done. So the different types of data lake are Hadoop, Amazon S3, Azure. So this is data lake. Now, how these three things work together, database, data warehouse, data lake working together, how these things are coming together and working together, it's like the data is landing into the data lake or database. Data lake, when the data will be landing in the data lake directly, when the data is in the raw format, untransformed data, unstructured data, semi-structured data, and at some cases structured data also. That time data will be landed in the data lake. Now database, how will be the data, when will the data be coming into the database? Some structured data will be coming, already transformed data is there, or from any such source wherein they produce structured data only. They produce the data in a very structured format, like CSV file I have, like a JSON, like a Parquet file I have, like a ORC file I have, Avro file I have. They all are in a like structured format as far as I know. If I'm anywhere mistaken, please tell me. So please comment. So if we are getting the data in that format, then the data will be loaded in the database, and then explore and prepare data. That is the work of the data engineers. They explore the data, prepare the data, cleanse the data, that fetching, managing, adding, deleting, arranging. These things are done by the data engineers. So exploring and preparing the data will be explored. Different kinds of things will be found out from that data, and then data will be prepared. Like prepared means cleansing the data, making it usable for the different teams like machine learning team or Power BI team. After that comes the select data to move it into the data warehouse. Yeah, of course. Then now finally the data will be moving into the data warehouse because transformation operations has already occurred. In database, when the data is there, mostly the structured format of the data is getting stored, but transformation operations are not done on that data. But in data warehouse, the meaning of the data, what that data is going to be meant for, or what that data is going to be used for, is also very clear, because transformation operations has already been done on that data. The data is already passed through some kind of operations, cleansing operation, preparing operations. So it's okay. After the data is there in the data warehouse, everything has been done, that data is handed over to the Power BI team or the machine learning team, AI team, MLOps team, and they'll work on accordingly, according to the need of the hour. They'll prepare, models, they'll train models, they'll work on that data. Now let's move on to the last part, which for I have created this video. This is very important. Like you are storing the data, but you should be very careful while storing the data, that what purpose or what kind of data I'm storing, because this records cost. You need to pay amount for storing data. Database does not need any amount to pay, but data lake and data warehouse needs to pay. Like Snowflake is a data warehouse, we need to pay some amount for storing the data for every query that we write in. And data lake, of course, Azure and S3 in Amazon, we need to pay amount for storing the data. The amount of the data that we are storing in, we need to pay. So we need to understand it in a very clear way, though we have come through the video. So let me just read it out. We have gone through all the points that only I have mentioned here. Structured form of the data, structured form of the data, unstructured or semi-structured data, or structured data can also be there. Relational data from a particular source. Yeah, of course, one source is only there in database. In this data warehouse, relational data from transactional data systems, operational data systems, databases. Transactional means, like suppose you are using ATM card, so that is also data that will also come up. Operational means some kind of thing, anything you are buying, any processing, any process is happening, that kind of data. Okay, all types of data from different sources, like IoT devices, you might be knowing, machines, social media sites. IoT devices, like artificial intelligence based devices. So from those devices also you're getting some data, so that will be stored in that will be, of course, raw data, or that will of course be semi-structured or unstructured data. That could never be structured data. There no way arranging it. not transaction processing, business how this is used, right? I mean, for retrieving, managing and all, database is generally used for that. But data warehouse is used for business analytics, data scientists, data engineers, data developers or data engineers and all, we can say. And the same thing, data lakes, the data from the data lake is also used for the same, that is used by the same business analytics, data scientists, data developers, data engineers, data architects. Every data architects are who design, suppose a particular pipeline has to be created for data ingestion, data removal, moving the data from the source table to the target table, what kind of operations has to be performed. So in that case, what kind of services based on the cost, like we need to incur very less cost but have the very high proficient pipeline. So in that case, data architects come into play. Data engineers, after that, data engineers cleanse that data, remove the unwanted redundant data from that data set or from that table, everything. And data scientists create models, run on that, I mean train that models on based on that data. So these are the different areas or premises where these different kinds of data engineers, data scientists and data architects work on. Now let's have some more kind of differences. They're transformed data. Basically they're not transformed data, but they are arranged data and in a very structured format. So transformed term is not okay, but yeah, of course we can say it's a transformed data, but generally it's not. It's structured format of the data. But data warehouse, transformed data, because operations have already been performed, so we can say it's transformed. It has undergone transformations. Data lake, it's raw data. Database, schema on write. Data warehouse, schema on write. I mean, previously, before the implementation, only data schema has been written, but in data lake, of course, it's raw data, so no schema is there. While analyzing, we will create this. Data is captured from single source. Of course, this is the last difference. Data is captured from multiple sources. Of course, data lake is a huge repository of data wherein data gets dumped by different organizations by to use that data just for analysis, just to have a visual representation, just to understand the trend of the business. So this is all about database, data warehouse, data lake, and I hope you all might have understood. I mean, I am able to explain the things in a good way. And if there is any comment, if you are not clear at any point, please do comment, and I'll try my level best to make you clear that point through your question. My concept will also get more meticulous. I'll also understand in a more better way and explain it to you. Thank you. And if there's any mistake in the channel, I mean this video, please do comment me and forgive me for that. But comment me so that I can understand the mistake and will not repeat it back in the next videos or next explanations. Thank you.